Everyone, and welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend this night um, in our mission to supporting the profession and to empower professionals on their continuous learning journey. And to be honest, the PDUs are good incentive for us to come here. In today's fast-paced remote working world, one of the biggest challenges we face is keeping virtual connect collaboration effective and engaging. Traditional tools like physical whiteboards and face-to-face meetings are becoming less visible, and many find themselves struggling to recreate the same dynamic collaboration that typically was happening on site to happen again online. This is especially true for project managers, team leaders, and anyone who relies on smooth, productive communication to drive their projects forward. Miro is a powerful online collaboration whiteboard that is designed to transform the way we work together virtually. With Miro, you can create a space for real-time brainstorming, seamless project planning, and effective discussion making, all in one place. And it is more than just a tool. It's a platform that enables teams to stay aligned, creative, and connected no matter where they are. And we all realize now that we really need this Miro. In this session, supercharge your virtual meeting by becoming a Miro superhero. You'll gain the skills of harmless Miro's full potential and elevate your virtual meetings. Learn how to engage your team, streamline collaboration, and foster the collaboration in ways that feel natural and productive, even from a distance. This is an invaluable skill for anyone focusing on impactful teamwork and collaboration in the digital era. Get ready to supercharge your virtual meeting and become the Miro superhero your team needs. As typically, for anyone who is familiar with our type of sessions, the first 10 minutes we go through the agenda and what we're going to discuss. Briefly, we'll touch on the suggested conduct and we'll introduce our speaker. Of course, nevertheless, we always introduce our local group Darmstadt and what is our chapter, what does entails, and what are the responsibilities, the role in our professional development. After my presentation, Jeff will take over our speakers of today's session, and then we'll close the session slowly by doing a survey, and you'll have the possibility to rate the event. I'll give you the PDU. You'll claim it afterwards, and we'll close the session. The suggested contact is that please keep your microphones mute just to avoid any phonia or duplication. Use your full name so we can identify you for the PDUs. If you like, share your video, of course, as we mentioned previously, and use the chat to make questions and comment, but also you can share your link profile so we can create a network here. You're invited to call out or invite the speakers on a conversation even after the session. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and expand more on topics you want to discuss with them. Please mind that this session is already recorded, and except from us as organizers, no other participants, AI, or on this event are allowed to make any recordings, transcripts, or even distribute this video. The Project Management Institute Germany chapter is comprised by 20 local groups in 5 regions. It's a very international community and is approaching 4,000 members. Organization of events, projects, and working groups on a regional and local level. And this has merged in one global Germany chapter in 2021. Part of the PMI Germany chapter is in one of the areas is the local group Darmstadt. It's the only English-speaking group, has 6 volunteers from 5 different countries. And we are trying to organize 2 events every month with one one-on-one roundtable session. And we have already 400 members on LinkedIn. And our today's speaker, Jeff Penning, is an and please correct me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong.
No, that's correct.
Thank you. Jeff Penning is an experienced project manager and leader in organizational change, known for his collaborative and supportive approach to guiding teams through transformation in systems, behaviors, and processes. With a career spanning decades, Jeff has worked across industries such as IT infrastructure, e-commerce, manufacturing, and engineering. His extensive project management experience includes both internal projects and client-facing roles, using a blend of waterfall and agile methodologies to adapt to diverse project needs. He's certified as a PMP since 2003 and holding an Agile certified practitioner credentials. Jeff has a strong foundation in structural project management, which transformed his career and enhanced his effectiveness in leading complex projects. He currently manages a team of custom software developers focused on innovating processes and tools to align with company growth goals. Jeff has also played a significant leadership role within the PMI Western Lake Erie chapter, serving as a former president and currently as a VP of communications. His commitment to the project management community extends to public speaking, where he has presented on topics like project manager as a facilitator and strategies for making change stick. He's currently developing a half-day professional development day, PDD, sessions on change management to help project managers enhance their skills. This is something we also need. With an educational background that includes both a BBA and an MBA from University of Toledo, Jeff brings a blend of academic knowledge and practical experience. You will find him active on LinkedIn, where Jeff frequently shares insights on change management, project management, collaboration, and facilitation, encouraging a collaborative, human-centered approach to project work. And without further ado, I don't want to hold you. Please carry on, Jeff, with your session, present yourself, and lead us to the world of MIRO.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm going to be presenting a little bit differently tonight than a lot of people might. A lot of people might be using PowerPoint for presentations, but I'm going to use MIRO. I think I'm speaking on MIRO, and it's a great way to present. So I'm going to kind of show you how that comes across as a presentation, as well as some of the collaborative tools we'll talk about as well. So as Maria mentioned, I've spoken about this topic for a number of chapters now, probably starting in the last 6 months or so. And I found as we're moving more toward virtual teams, just as things change in our working world with pandemic and everything else like that, that MIRO has become really a powerful tool, and more people are using it. So I thought it might be a good topic to discuss, and so far there's been a lot of demand for it. So it's been a really exciting journey with MIRO. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the learning objectives tonight. So we're going to learn how to work remotely, talk a little bit about how working remotely in teams has become one of the top expensive problems for projects. And I called the expensive problems something that basically is something that pops up on the project at some point and may become an expensive impact to the project. A lot of times it's things that you could do up front that if you miss, they become bigger and bigger problems. And I think collaboration is one of those. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get in and navigate MIRO. And so you'll get some experience with hands-on experience with MIRO. You'll be able to move around and participate in some exercises with that. We'll talk about the 4 C's framework and how creating a structured, engaging virtual meetings can help drive clear outcomes. And finally, I'll share a few tools and methods within MIRO that you can add to your facilitator's toolbox that you can begin using with your teams right away. As I mentioned, there's been a lot of challenges with working more and more remotely lately. More and more we're having distributed teams where the teams are not all in person. The meetings aren't all in person, but there are a lot of virtual meetings online. There's also hybrid meetings where you have some people in person, but others remote. And those can be very challenging of keeping everyone on the same page and feel like they're all part of the team. There's new tools to learn. Seems like there's new tools every day. We reach out and as we're working with different people. I know we went from Skype to Teams at my job when the pandemic first started, and really never looked back after that. But it seems like there's more and more new tools for project management every day and things like that. So I wanted to introduce the MIRO to a lot of you that may be a new tool as well, and help you better understand how you can use that. And then a lot of times what I'm seeing is less meeting engagement. When meetings were in person and everyone was sitting around the conference room table, people seem to be more engaged. Now I think there's more opportunity for people to sit back in meetings and not engage, and so it becomes a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to share a couple strategies for getting everyone engaged in those meetings tonight as well. As Maria mentioned, I am on LinkedIn and talk a lot about different topics. So I'd love to connect with everyone. I did drop my LinkedIn profile address into the chat, so I would love to connect with everyone. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, before I go on, I wanted to also mention that if you're not on Miro, if you go out to Miro.com, there is a free version of Miro you can sign up for, and it will get you in there. It'll let you do a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight, and just experiment with it. And then on top of that, if you want to get some more capabilities and things like that, you can pay for it, but you can actually try it out free first of all, which is really nice. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a link to the board so you can all join in if you'd like. I'll put that into the chat. There you go. So now if you go to chat and click on that link, you will start gaining access to the board here. I see some people joining in already, so that's perfect. I'll pause a second to let everyone join in before we go on. All right, looks like we have a majority of people here, I think. So you should be seeing a sailboat on the board as you get in. And what I want to do first of all is give you some basic navigation tips on moving around the board. So the board is really a big canvas. Miro is a big canvas. So if I zoom all the way out, you can see that my content's getting very small and there's a lot of white space around it. So it's a big canvas. You can keep on drawing and drawing and drawing. It shows borders here, but I'm told that it'll keep on expanding if you want, if you add more and more to it. So to zoom in and out, if you have a scroll bar on your mouse, you can use that to zoom in and out. There's also a zoom down here in the lower right-hand corner. You can hit plus or minus, and that also zooms you in and out if you don't have a scroll bar. If you want to move left or right, hold down your right mouse button, and you see the pointer turns into like a fist. And you can use that then to drag and move yourself left to right. And then the left mouse button can be used to select something. Like say you want to put a note, if you want to document a key learning, which I'm going to invite you to do, if you click it with the left mouse button, it'll select one of the post-it notes here. If you double click it, it'll let you go in and say, and put something in there and type something in there. So I would invite you throughout, if you have a key learning that you want to share, that you realize something, we'll do some collective note taking here, and we'll look back at the end to see what key learnings people had. You'll also see a sailboat here, which I mentioned before, and this is the first method I want to share with you. This is a great retrospective method, but you can also use it in general to collect information from people. And so if you're seeking feedback on whatever it is. Like in this case, I want to seek feedback about this session. I want to see what you like about the session and what challenges or questions you might have. And the sailboat method is a great metaphor because what it shows us is above the water line, you see some wind. And so it's saying, what's the wind in our sails? What's moving us forward? What's positive? And so you can leave those messages of what you like and what's moving us forward in the message in the post-it notes above. And then also below the waterline, you see some blue post-its. That's really represented by the anchor dragging behind the boat, slowing us down. So it's what's slowing us down, what hurdles do we have, and things like that. So we can add additional, we can have some comments down there for that. So it's I did want to share this method because it's a great one if you're doing a retrospective or just want to get feedback from your team. You don't actually need MIRO for this. You can just draw a physical whiteboard also and use real post-its, physical post-its to get feedback. But I also wanted to use it tonight also to give you a chance to give me some feedback on the session tonight. Okay. All right. So let's go back. I'm going to take you back up to the 4 C's. Bring that up, and what I'm actually going to do is I can bring, as the host, I can bring everyone to me of where I'm located on the board. So I'm going to do that. Hope it's not too dizzying for everyone to jump around like that. But we're going to talk about the 4 C's. And 4 C's are a framework I learned from a company over in Berlin called AJ and Smart, who does a lot of design and design sprints and things like that. And they really started talking a lot about workshops. And I was in a program called Workshop or Master for facilitation. And so the 4 C's are basically a structure you can use in meetings or workshops to provide structure to get information from people and do something with it and end up with a commitment and something that you can take away that's actionable at the end. And so the first one is collect. So you're going to capture feedback. It's important to do that in the voice of the customer. And that's what I mean by that is basically instead of you taking notes and putting in your words what they're saying, Miro, for example, allows you just to have people put information into a post-it. And so it's in their words. So it's even more valuable because if you hear something in their words, you might get something more out of it than if it's something in your words or the project's team's words. And you might be able to gain some additional insights from that. So we're going to collect a lot of information. And then basically what we do is we got a lot of information, and then we're going to narrow that down. We're going to choose the top items we want to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on the ones that we feel are most impactful. And then we're going to carry those forward to the next step, which is to create. And that's really around brainstorming and developing additional ideas of what we can do with those few ideas. Say you're doing a problem-solving workshop, and you're going to collect feedback about what the problem is, maybe what the root cause is. You're going to narrow that down to basically which are the biggest impact ones, and then you would do some brainstorming around how to solve those problems and come up with some options for different solutions. Finally, then to commit, we're going to take those actions that come out of there, the best options again, by voting, and then we're going to put those onto a matrix to decide priorities. And we'll go through that exercise tonight and then create some accountability on who's going to do what when. So that's kind of the 4 C's framework. I wanted to introduce that first, but now I'm going to kind of walk you through some exercises to kind of show you in action how that works. All right, so we're going to start with, bring everyone to me again. I've just moved to the right. So I want to show you what a collect exercise looks like. And so we're on this one. The question I want you to answer is, what are your virtual meeting challenges that you might have? So again, to add feedback, just double click on one of the post-it notes here and just add your feedback. So I'll give you about a minute to do this. Typically, you would give people 2-3 minutes, but with the time frame here in the 60-minute session we have, I just want to kind of give you a feel for how things go. We're not necessarily looking for to carry through on the specific information here. And as we do this, there's actually a really nice tool in here for a timer. So you can set a timer that everyone can see within MIRO also.
Just a quick questions. Those
Yeah.
little bubbles with the names in it, are that online users that are currently on that same board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone is represented up here in the bubbles. And then also what it does, if you're already a member of MIRO, it'll put your name in there. If you're not using MIRO, it gives a different name like visiting researcher, visiting painter, and things like that. So you'll see all those moving around here.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And if that gets to be too much on a session, you can always turn that off too. All right, so you can see within just a minute or so, or a little bit more, we've come up with a lot of different challenges that people have. And so that was the collect phase, first part of the collect phase. The second part is really to do something with this. And so what we would do is we would read through them and we would look for ones that are similar, like maybe people not contributing and engagement, and we would put those off. We would put those together. We'll get rid of some of the blank ones out of here, and so we would go through and do some clustering. So here's another engagement. Got collaboration, getting distracted. So if you see any that are similar to any of the ones that we're moving around, feel free to move these around and put them into clusters as well. Here's a contribution. A lot around engagement. All right, so we see here by far that the biggest feedback people had was around engagement. So what you can do by clustering them, it just kind of cuts down on what you're looking at. Instead of having 20 different Post-it notes out there, we've got one big group here, and then typically would have a couple of smaller groups together, or some individual ones like we have here. But what you can do then is go in and basically just label these. Label the clusters, and so you can kind of see what you're looking at there. So there's no one way to do that, but the idea behind clustering then is just to kind of take a whole lot of individual Post-its and group them together so you can look more in groups or themes versus individuals. So what we would do next is we've done the collect. Now we're going to do the choose. And the choose, what we're going to do here is we're going to vote on the ones that are most impactful that we want to carry forward. A lot of times you'll generate a lot of information and collect more than you can handle in one session. So what you want to do is you're going to want to vote. So I'm going to select voting up here. I can zoom down into the area that we want to vote on just by dragging this little box around it here. And then what you can do is you can say, how many votes do I want to give each person? I'm going to give each person 3 votes. And I'll give you 2 minutes to vote. And we're going to vote on the sticky notes. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to start it here, and then you're all going to see a pop-up like you do here, where it's going to say, ask you if you want to join voting. So once you join voting, if you hover over the various Post-it notes, you're going to see a plus mark there. So if you click on the plus, that's a vote. So you're voting on that item as one being the most impactful. So you get up to 3 votes, and you can adjust that, like I said, but I think 3 is a good amount for this number. Now, if you just vote on something and decide to take that vote back, just hover back over top of that and click on the minus, and it'll allow you to move your vote somewhere else. Okay, so go ahead and start voting if you haven't already. And then when you're done, just click on I'm done. And it's nice up at the upper right-hand corner as you're doing this, it shows how many people have voted. So we've had 8 out of 9 people have voted. It's a nice way just to kind of keep track. Actually, I'm probably that number 10. All right, so I'm going to end it. And then what MIRO does for us is it gives us a total. It gives us the ones that had the most votes. It'll show us along the side here what got the most votes. So what I like to do then is go out and find those. I think we have to, yeah. Find those and change them to different colors. So they're easy to find. And I'm going to take all the ones with down to 2 votes. Okay, so very quickly, we can pick out the top items that people have suggested and then felt like they're the biggest impact. So that is the choose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and grab those, and just if you hold down the control key, you can go through and grab the individual post-its. I'm just going to duplicate them here. I'm just going to grab a few of them here. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the next section over here. So what we're going to do is to drag these on, and these are ideas of how to overcome our challenges within a virtual workspace. And now we're moving through the 4 C's. We did collect. We chose them to narrow down our focus. And now we're on the create stage. And the method we're going to use here is 10 for 10. And typically what that means is we're going to give you 10 minutes to come up with 10 ideas each. Now, in the timing of this session, I'm going to do it more like a 2 for 2. So ask everyone to try to come up with 2 ideas in 2 minutes, but you get the idea of kind of what it is out there. So we're trying to brainstorm. We're trying to give as many different ideas as we can. Typical rules of brainstorming, no bad ideas. It's really at this point about quantity versus quality. Because sometimes even bad ideas, people can look at them and come up with another idea that they may not have thought about. So to do this, what we have is here is we've got the idea listed above each one of these stacks of Post-its. So I'm going to do is ask people to just go in here and just pick a couple of these, drag them off to a different size, somewhere a different side of the question, and put your ideas on here of how to overcome those challenges. Okay, any questions about what we're doing? Okay, so I'm going to set a timer for this for 2 minutes. And like I said, if you could come up with 2 ideas, that would be great. And it could be 2 ideas on any one of these questions here. I'll drag some of these down to give us a little more space. Right, about 30 seconds left. All right. So that's how you use the 10 for 10, or in this case, 2 for 2, to do brainstorming on some ideas or challenges that we had. So again, in a very short amount of time, everyone was able to participate and provide that feedback. Now, one of the challenges I talked about earlier is that a lot of times, especially what I'm seeing in virtual meetings, is that people tend to sit back and not participate as much as if they may have been in person. And I think this is a great exercise, a great series of exercises, really to get everyone participating. Sometimes you get that loudest person in the room that likes to talk a lot and gives a lot of the feedback, and other people don't get a chance or are afraid to speak up. By doing some exercises like we just did, it gives everyone equal footing to give feedback. Everyone has the same amount of time. Everyone's just filling in their own information. They don't have to, say it out loud. And then afterwards, what you would do is probably follow up with a little bit of discussion. And then we would do another choose to narrow down the focus. So in this case, say we're looking for the top 5 things that we want to take action on in this meeting to overcome virtual meeting challenges. What we would do is now take everything we have in our brainstorming area here and do another vote. And so I'm going to set the area. I'm going to specify that we're going to vote on sticky notes. I'm going to keep it at 3 votes, although typically the more ideas you have, the more votes you would give people. And I'll keep it at 2 minutes here as well. So we're going to go ahead and do the voting again. So when you're ready, just click on join voting. You can go through and vote on the ones that you think are the biggest impact. I'll set the timer. So as you're voting, I also want to mention that one of the really interesting concepts that we're doing here with the 4 C's is we're using a concept called the double diamond. So if you think of a diamond, it's basically if you start from the left side, and it's going to get very, I guess, looking at your direction here is being left side, I think. You're going to start small and you're going to get big. So you come up with new ideas. You're doing the collect, you come up with a lot of ideas. And then what you're going to do is you're going to narrow it down. you're going to do at shoes, you got to narrow it down to something you can do something with. And then once you have that smaller subset, you're going to go big again, and you're going to, think of as many brainstorming ideas as you can to solve the problem at hand. And then finally, you're going to narrow those down. You're going to prioritize and come up with the best ones until you come up with one solution. So that's why they call it double diamond. But that's kind of what we're doing at the 4 C's here from a larger perspective. All right, looks like everyone's voted. So I'm going to end that. It's coming up with the results. We got 4 3s. So perfect. We're going to drag those. Going to identify those. Up here. All right, so out of all the brainstorm ideas, we've got 4 ideas we want to carry forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab those. We're going to copy those, Control C, and bring them over to the action board. This is the commit stage. It's the last of the 4 C's. We're going to copy them onto here. So typically I would do this with 5 or 6 different ideas, the top 3, but I want to give you just an idea of how this works. And so what we want to do here, a little bit bigger, is we're going to look at these from a impact and difficulty standpoint to help us prioritize these. And so what we do with the team, first of all, is say, okay, I want you to go through and identify what the biggest impact item is out of these 4. What's going to help us with our goal the most? And they might say, include interactive tools is the highest impact. Okay, what's the next highest impact? Okay, maybe we'll pick up this one. Make the content more collaborative by asking questions. Then maybe it's a shorter meeting time, and then maybe let people come up with ideas for actions. So basically what we've done is stack rank these from highest impact to lower impact. I'm careful, actually I should say lowest impact here, or no, lower impact. I'm not saying low impact, I'm saying lower. It's all relative basically on this scale here. So now that we've done this, what we want to do is look at each one of them and say, okay, what is the difficulty in implementing this? And you can look at this from different aspects: cost, time, experience, capabilities, skills, things like that. But we basically asked the team to go through and discuss and come up with a consensus on where this falls. So maybe the tools are a higher difficulty. Maybe the next one is a lower difficulty. And then maybe we have something like this for the last 2. So you're just adjusting left to right then. And then by doing that, it basically puts it in 4 quadrants. You can look at things with the highest impact and low difficulty, and maybe this is the first area of stuff that you go after. Maybe that's the lowest hanging fruit. And then you can decide as a team, is it better to then go after the higher impact, higher difficulty, or lower impact, lower difficulty next, or whatever square you want to go with next. So maybe it's something like this. And then you can decide basically which priority each one gets. And then so as a team, you've basically come to a consensus on how you want to approach these. And from there, you can take these and assign them out to people and get people to take ownership of them and set some due dates and things like that, put them in your action item list and things like that. But it's a good collaborative way as a team to look at what needs to be done and decide what the priority is to get that done based on impact and difficulty. So to me, this is one of the examples of a tool that's very good to do it collaboratively, because getting everyone engaged builds a lot better buy-in than if you're doing it yourself as a project manager. And the more buy-in you have, the more people are willing to step forward and take ownership and do something with that. All right, so that's the action item board, and that's the last of the 4 C's, and that was confirm. So what I want to do now is, I mentioned doing things collaboratively as a team. So I just want to show a couple of other quick examples of what I've used in the past to do collaboratively as a team using MIRO. So the first is building a WBS. As Maria mentioned in my introduction, I manage a software development team, and we're in the process of developing some internal tools. And one of those is a task tracker. As you can imagine, our developers are working on a lot of different projects, and they're currently just tracking their time throughout the day on a piece of paper, maybe a post-it notes, maybe in something online in a tool. But we're developing a app that we can use first as our team and then spread this out through our company, where they can basically just hit a start button at the top and type in a task that they're working on, and then stop when they're done. It'll record all the time. They can assign that to like a task group and things like that. At the end of the week, then they can just sort that by project and see everything that they have done on that project, so they can put that information and the hours into their timesheet. And so what we did is we sat down and I asked them, okay, what are the features that you want in this system? And they entered in the post-it notes using Miro of the yellow ones down here. And these were the features that they came up with. So then from there, we grouped them, we did clustering and put them into the clusters that you see in the middle here. And then from there, we did one more layer up. And so we looked at the very top level being start-stop tracking, task groups, project orientation, and reporting were the four top levels there. But doing this as a team collaboratively, once again, that everyone involved. Nobody had to worry about someone talking over them because we did it within Miro. Everyone got a say in the matter. And it quickly got us to a point where we had a pretty good WBS put together that we could start forming some other project plans around that. Another project I was called in by a client to help with at one point is to build a RACI chart. And the issue that they were having is they had worked on a project for a few weeks, had not built a RACI chart for responsibilities, roles, and responsibilities yet as a team, and there's a lot of misalignment on the team. And so the project manager knew that I'd used Miro and asked me to come in and kind of facilitate a session for him. And so I got the whole team together, presented this tool to them, had all their names to the left side here, had all the milestones and deliverables across the top that we had to work toward. And I gave him 5 minutes. I said, okay, for yourself now. So for example, John, I want you to go through these and identify which ones you're accountable for, responsible for, need to be consulted on, or just need to be informed on. And so John went through and did that for his just by dragging these sticky notes or these circles next to his name. Susan did the same thing at the same time. Stacy, Aaron, and Frank did the same thing. After 5 minutes, we got back together and went through and noticed something very obvious. First of all, there weren't a whole lot of A's, a whole lot of accountability. And so we had a conversation about that, who needed to be accountable for what. And through that conversation and agreement and consensus, we're able to come up and identify who's going to be accountable for each one of the deliverables at the top. Now, the project manager, a lot of times as a project manager, I would have done this myself and just provided to the team. But by doing it this way, again, it was collaborative, had a lot of buy-in. People felt like they came up with the plan themselves. So there's a lot more ownership, I felt, than a lot of times when I did it myself. So something else to keep in mind that might be useful to do this more collaboratively. All right, let's move back up to the last slide here. I'm going to bring everyone to me again. So I want to share some general facilitation tips. And a lot of these are ones I've learned over the years or learned with Workshop or Master as I went through that program. The first one's really about just the word facilitation. Facilitation comes from the word facile, which means to make things easier. And I think one of the main goals or roles really of a facilitator is to make things easier for the people that they're in their meeting or workshop or that they're working with. And we can do that a few different ways. I think building out a structure of what the meeting looks like and what you're trying to accomplish and how you break that down ahead of time and do really designing that meeting specifically for the task at hand allows you to basically do that ahead of time and then guide people through that. And it just makes it easier for them because you're leading them. You're really developing on them being the expert that's bringing the information as the subject matter expert, but you're really guiding them through the process. So that kind of leads into the second one here. It's be the guide, not the hero. Uh, what I mean by this is, as you look at movies like maybe Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, Gandalf, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, they're really guides. They weren't doing a lot of the work itself. They were guiding others through the process, through the journey, and things like that. Really helping them to be all they could be, and really a lot of times helping them see things in themselves that they didn't know were there. So they're really the hero. They're really the ones doing a lot of the work. People on our projects, like I said, they're the subject matter experts. If you're working with a client, they know the situation, the context, the problems, the challenges, things like that. And you're just really guiding them through the process as a facilitator. So I'd like to say, be the guide, not the hero. The other thing is you're really building structure from chaos. So if you think of the first exercise we did where we had all the different Post-it notes out there with some of the challenges in there, we had a lot of different things. We probably had 20, 25 different ideas. So we started broad with that, but then we started structuring into clusters. And we voted to narrow that down a little more. We grew it out again, a lot of brainstorm ideas, but then we narrowed it down and we took it to the action item or action board and built some structure around that as far as what the priority was. So very quickly, you can take people through a process like this and really build a lot of structure from chaos. The fourth one is time manager. So as we went through, I gave you certain times that you had to work on things. It wasn't open-ended. I wasn't saying, well, take as long as you need, because we have a set schedule for the meeting, just like your meetings back at work. You know, we've got the time frames that we have to work within. So really guiding them through, letting them worry about the content and what they're providing, but you worrying about the time is another part of the facilitator's role. And then lastly, like I talked a little bit before, last one is first alone, then together. That's the whole concept of letting people work individually first, come up with ideas, share them as a team, but that allows everyone to get engaged and provide kind of democratizes the flow of information and ideas. So just want to share those facilitation tips. And so let's go down and see what we have at our sailboat as far as any ideas. And if you have questions now you want to put in, you can either put them in here or you can just come off mic and ask or put them in the chat. But that is all I wanted to present tonight, and hopefully that was helpful. But would like to open up any questions at this time.
No question, but maybe some feedback from my side.
Yes.
This was let's say, for me, a wonderful example for how to use, let's say, first a board, and secondly, then the tool MIRO to facilitate, let's say, brainstorming or sessions in a project. I've never seen that in that way before, and thank you very much for giving me some tips here how to use my MIRO more effectively. I think this was more practicable and pragmatical than any advice I recently or currently hear about how to use AI or whatever. This I can use.
Right. Well, great. Thanks for the feedback. Glad it was helpful. Any questions from anyone?
See the road, nice tool, very nice and easily described.
Great.
I think it's easily applicable and everyone can adopt very fast. So you don't have to worry if your team is not comfortable, haven't used it. I think we can start practicing with MIRO and get our team on board with our challenges and let them brainstorm the ideas for fixing the problems we have at hand.
Right. Yeah, I think the learning curve is fairly small. I think, here we just really took a couple minutes to show you how to navigate around, and I gave you a few tips here and there along the way, but to begin using it, I think the learning curve is very small, so which makes it nice. Looks like we have a question down here.
I have a short, quick, maybe practical question also for the use in profession. How is it about licensing costs for using this tool? I mean,
Yes.
we just now used it as guests, but of course, for professional use, you will need to use it as a registered user.
Yeah, let me show you. I'll take you to MIRO.com. Oops. If you go to MIRO.com/pricing, it'll show you the various costs. So like I said, you can get started with the free, and then that gives you a certain amount. And then if you want to go further than that, you can sign up, and it's a subscription for it. So it's $8 a month per member. And it's a little bit of a break. If you pay monthly, it's 10. Then it goes up to 16. And then if you want the whole team or enterprise to use it, there's an enterprise that you work directly with MIRO to get. So fairly inexpensive, but basically it starts with just a single board or 3 editable boards, and it goes to unlimited. And so the further you get to the right, the more capabilities you have. But that's basically what the pricing model looks like. Does that help?
Okay, thanks. And if I may, if another maybe a bit provocative question without having an opinion on my own, I know there is a few of these kinds of collaboration tools or environments. So for example, I know in, let's say, a competitor tool, it's called MIRO.
Mhm.
So from your experience, I assume you are basically a deep user of MIRO. Is there anything what you say, what makes this or that, let's say, what some unique selling points or so that certain tools may have?
I've used Mural as well. And I think it really depends on what you're used to. I started using Miro about 8 years ago at a job. And so I was used to using that before I started using Mural. And they're very, very similar. I think they're very equally comparable as far as features and things you could do with them. But I think it really gets down to what you're used to. I know people love Mural and people love Miro. So
Thanks.
So I guess I would just suggest that if you are out there in the market for a tool like this, to maybe just try the free version of each and see which one you prefer. So we did have a comment down here about everyone moving around makes it difficult to focus. I've heard that before, and I've experienced it before also. So like I said, with all the people floating around, you can turn that off so you can't see all the different names and things like that. And so that helps sometimes. And hopefully with all the bringing you to me wasn't too dizzying, but I've heard people comment on that sometimes before. So sometimes I'll warn people before I do that to say, okay, close your eyes if you don't want to be dizzy or if it bothers you. And then when they open it back up, they'll be in the new spot on the board.
I can only think of two things that my team was having opposition in using it because they didn't want it to get spammed if they log in with their emails. and eventually MIRO will start bombarding them. And the other thing is that if they log in with their Gmail account or any other account, if there's no an alias that is showing, like I think my name is visible because I have logged in and I have account, and
Right.
there's no how it's called, anonymity when there's a retrospective, and not everyone wants to pitch in because their name will be visible.
Right.
Is there anything that we can prevent of that? Maybe I'm not familiar. We can only use aliases and
There is an
pseudonyms.
anonymous mode that you can go into that you can set so basically the names don't show up. Because basically if you click on one of the different items here, and then you go over to the menu up here with the three dots, you can go in info and see basically who's created by and who put the feedback on it, who wrote into it. But there's an anonymous role or setting in the settings where you can set so you can't see who did any of that. And then there's also a note on here, an option on here where you could put a person, you could specify the author. If you zoom in a little bit, you can see the author's name down here right on the post-it, but you can also just turn that off. So that's more anonymous that way too.
I see.
So.
That's helpful. And in terms of spamming, I've never been spammed by MIRO. So
I've never really had that, but I do get some emails from them, but you can just unsubscribe if you don't want to get all the emails too.
Yep. And
the other nice feature. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, please. No, please.
I was going to say the other nice feature is that MIRO comes with the template, and so you see like the sailboat here, and you see some of the different boards I've created. I create a lot of these from scratch, but if you want an idea of how to create different boards, you can go to the template page over here, and then you can sort by different topics. So say looking for meeting and workshop ideas. You can go in here, you can select any of these different topics. And some of these are like retrospectives, mad, sad, glad, start, stop, continue, do a quick retrospective, rosebud, thorn. There's different things, right? Ideation, different topics.
Nice.
And you could basically just go through and use that template and it'll bring it right into your board for you and you can start using it. So it's really nice. And there's also one called Miroverse up here where you can go out and look at different topics and these are all ones that other people have created. Like if you know Jake Knapp from the design sprint, he created this one on how to run a design sprint. And there's customer journey mapping, different ones like this. And so there's a ton of different resources out here. And this is all free that you can reuse these other templates that people have created. So you don't have to feel like you have to start from scratch.
And can you build on top of the templates, add more things?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a starting point for you. You can bring them into your board. Like for example, if I go out here now and I want to bring in the customer journey map, I'd say use template. It brings it in for me, and then I can basically go through and modify that. I can use it as is, or I can modify it with different things. Everything here is modifiable, so it's pretty nice to have all those different options out there.
Yeah, very neat.
And then if you're using something that you want to share with others, I think I put that over top of everything else. If, for example, I wanted to share this with someone or set it, if I created this myself and wanted to use it for multiple projects, I can actually go through and highlight this. I can build a frame around it. And then from there, I can save it as a template. I can either save it my personal templates or as a team template. And then basically, as I go back into the templates over here, there's a spot down here where you can look at your personal templates that you saved and bring those up as well, or as a team template. So I've got some images in here I use on some boards, and I can just bring those back onto the board very quickly as a template and reuse those. So very nice that way also.
Very good. And can you export them as a photo so you can use them for reporting or for other documents? And
Yes, yes, you can. You can once you have it in a frame, you can also go back to here. You can export as a PDF, and then you can basically download that and share it with your team as well. And I do that a lot too. Um, the thing I could do here is if anyone's interested in getting it as a PDF, I can do that. Or what I'll do is I'll just leave this board open for all of you. They can get back in here and look around and play a little bit too. And get back in after the session to take another look around.
that will be great. We want a reminder for the 4 Cs and
Yes.
use it as a reference in our work. So I'm curious, Jeff told us how he's using MIRO. I'm curious from everyone else, and sharing your opinions and sharing your ideas of how you could use this tool. Maybe someone will get inspired and nudged to use it, or maybe to give another idea. So we have 15 people on the call. I'm curious really how you see the usability of this tool and how would you use, and if you would use this tool for your work, in what specific aspects, whether that is a retrospective or brainstorming ideas or building a WBS.
As I said, we've already used this kind of tool, but it was MIRO, not MIRO, because we worked with an external vendor who helped us, and they used MIRO for requirements engineering for a very big project. So we went through different domains that a new system should cover. And for each of these, we started working on the, let's say, the workflows, the business workflows, and visualizing the workflows, and then collecting these in a structured manner. And finally, to build, let's say, or to describe system requirements out of this. Of course, finally, this had to go into a, let's say, a formal system where we had to collect the requirements, because later we also had to bring this together with tools like Jira and systems where we had to do then the control testing in and so on. But for the initial, let's say, workshop sessions we did, this kind of tool was very helpful because it's very visual and different people could contribute at the same time.
Yeah, Workflows is a great application for this. And the nice thing is that using Miro or Mural, one of these tools, is that it's all still out here when you're done. If you do this in a conference room with the whiteboard, you typically are taking pictures of the whiteboard and you just have a static picture and you have to take them all down for the next meeting. Where this is still out there, it's a living document basically, where you can just keep on updating it. So I found a lot of good uses around that same thing.
Yeah, and the other, Maria, what you mentioned retrospectives is also something where we use this in a very similar, simple manner. Simply let people contribute their stickies or so with their findings, and then exactly as you said, then clustering these, voting about what are the most, let's say, painful domains we want to talk about, and then talking about potential measures and finally action items. So exactly as you said it.
Great.
That's good to hear. And Mark wrote us a comment that he found this very interesting. Thanks for the ideas, and I'm to use for some brainstorming activities, like for a new project. Yeah, ideation. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
We can all write down our ideas to create a new project.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else, perhaps? Maybe they're already using it, like we heard from Christopher.
Yeah.
Don't let me call your names like in the examples.
examples.
Thank you, Sati.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, in my organization, we have used it, of course, for retrospective and running some brainstorming workshops. But something also unique, also to define or draw the flow chart, so the process flow chart of our project management or customer success, the customer journey from onboarding to exit, the whole thing. And it's very, very useful and easy to draw such flow charts with MIRO. So
Yeah, it's a great use.
Yeah.
What I've also done before is you can upload PDFs or pictures into MIRO. And so if you have a current workflow or procedure or something like that, or process that you want to evaluate and give feedback on, you can just upload a picture of that process and have people put sticky notes next to areas that there may be a concern or a challenge. So it's a great way to get feedback quickly on a process that you may have, and then use that then to make improvements to that process. So yeah, good use.
Maybe one hint from my side. First, I have to say I love face-to-face meetings, and I think there's nothing more effective than sitting around a table and working together. Apart from let's say getting a little chemicals with the team. But what I would like to introduce now to my teams is to at least use, well, okay, MIRO is perfect for having, let's say, not face-to-face meetings and still conduct brainstormings or whatever, flowcharts or whatever. But what I want to introduce now into my teams with the knowledge of today is to have MIRO also having being some minutes of the meeting. So after the face-to-face meeting, just transfer the information that we have gathered, and put it into the team for everyone's access to once retrieve what we have talked about, and maybe add new ideas as they come up on the way. And I think this could be quite helpful, because things evolve, and one session is no session, I always say, and I think this would be an extension for things. By the way, in Microsoft Teams, the MIRO app is an add-on where you can use that in the team as well. And so this is also a perfect repository for these minutes.
Right. Yeah, it's a great way to keep minutes and keep track of notes. As you're talking, Henning, I remembered one of the methods I've used is called lean coffee. I don't know if everyone's ever heard of that, but it's something you could use for your meetings that basically goes through a lot of what we talked about today. You get in and you ask for people, okay, what do you want to discuss? And I use this for a mastermind I'm in, that we get together once a month, and everyone gets in initially and puts down ideas of what they want to discuss. They cluster them, they vote on them, and then the top ones come over here to the list here, and then we give every topic, say, 8 minutes to discuss it. And at the end of 8 minutes, everyone takes a vote on the team. Do we want to continue for another 4 minutes? Thumbs up or thumbs down, take a quick vote. And if we continue, we do 4 more minutes, and then we end that topic and go on to the next. And it's a great way to just use the board to kind of structure those conversations, because a lot of times what I see is if you have a lot of issues to discuss, it's easy to get on the call and lose track of time and only end up discussing 1 or 2 that go very long. But this adds a lot of good structure to that, so you can get through more of those ideas. And then you can also, there's a place for action items. There's a place for everyone to write down what they learned today. And so it's just a real good structured way to kind of run those meetings, whether they're in person or remote. I found it useful for both.
Quick additional question. How do you use that dot voting?
Oh, yes, I was going to mention that. That is another way to vote than what we did with the MIRO board. And what you do is you click on one of the dots, and then you just drop it on one of the post-its that you want to vote on. So it's similar to if you've ever used dot voting in person, where you buy the little dots from the office supply store and put them on the post-it notes. It's really the same kind of idea, but just a little bit more a different method of voting out there.
Is there a limitation with how many dots you can place on sticky notes?
No limitation. This one's a little bit more on the honor system. With the MIRO voting, you could say everyone has 3 votes and things
Yes.
like that. Here, everyone has to kind of be on their honor system because there's no way to really track how many each person gets. But it's also a very quick way to do some quick voting too.
I feel really inspired. I don't know about you. I hope you
Yeah.
all got very useful tips. I already have created some structure in my mind how I can leverage this tool for my future meetings. And I hope you all got impacted in a positive way and you're gonna leave this session inspired. Anyone has any final questions or remarks or positive notes or anything to give to the speaker to exchange some ideas with Jeff before we proceed with the presentation? Because I want you to give your opinion on the survey that we're going to share with you. Nope. All right. Let me go to my presentation.
Well, thanks for having me, everyone. I appreciate the time, and it was a good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Oh, we loved you. We love having you here. And you are still, I know that you're still in your working day, but you can stick with us for 15 more minutes or 14
Sure.
more minutes. Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you. And back to my presentation. And does everyone see the Mentimeter? I'll share also the code on the chat. You can scan it with your phones. Don't go directly here. I share the link on the chat. And I'm sharing the Mentimeter right now. There are only 2 people that voted. Let me vote too. Okay, so we wanted to see what is, this is going to be the feedback for the speaker. The speaker's insights were insightful and impactful. The speaker conveyed passion and expertise on the topic. The presentation provided practical ideas and I can apply it in my work. I would like to see the speaker presents on the topic in the future. And the topic is very interesting, more of such. Okay. I will go to the next slide now because there's more for you to vote. We would like more of your opinion. This is a new type of survey that we are sharing. We're testing something out. We really want your opinion so we can make a measurable and actionable future points to know how we navigate our work in the local group Darmstadt, but also our speakers to get inspired. This is feedback for the session experience and the future interests. Today's session made me feel more motivated in the project management role. The session length was appropriate for conveying the topic meaningfully. I'm interested in attending more sessions of similar topics. I would recommend this volunteer-led event series to my colleagues. I feel equipped to apply something I learned today in my work.
Can you please show the QR code of the Mentimeter once more?
Yes. Can you see my slide? Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I will also do the voting. And then I would like your opinion on the next slide as well, on the next voting poll is the feedback on the topic and content relevance. This topic was relevant to my role. The session expanded my understanding on project management. I would recommend this topic to others in my organization. The content of the session was engaging and kept my attention. And the insights shared in today's session are applicable to my current projects. And then two more, I think. This is the last before. Yes, there are two more. Feedback on the overall impact and community engagement. This session increased my enthusiasm for professional development. I'm likely to recommend this volunteer-led event series to others. Overall, I'm satisfied with this session. This community-driven learning experience is valuable to my professional growth. This session met or exceeded my expectations. Thank you. And maybe the most important for us as a local group is what future topics would like us to cover in upcoming sessions. We usually ask us at the end of the sessions, but we don't get very much feedback or opinion from our frequent attendees. Really want to be here for you and invite people who can carry out the topic that you're interested in. AI, but pragmatical and usable. More PM tool. Cost optimization. Emotional intelligence. Beautiful session. Yes. And if everyone additional, maybe extra question for you, you can write it in the chat or you can write us an email. If you know a specific speaker who can cover these topics, someone who is very good in the work that they're doing on the topic that you're interested in, please share that speaker with us and we can reach out to them. PM tools, different PM approaches, frameworks, EQ, using Teams efficiency, climate tech, more deep dive into MIRO so that I can use it like a pro user. You can also reach out to Jeff. He has more details on his webpage, and he's active on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of insights on his experience, and of course, Miro. I think we have the right guy about Miro here. You can reach out to Jeffrey. Risk assessment. Yes. Very good feedback. I love this. Thank you. Amazing. I'll go back to the presentation, and you can keep coming with the ideas on the poll. There are 5 minutes left, and I want to share the PDU with you. And of course, the screenshots for the Mentimeter results will be shared on email with you. And Jeffrey, this video recording will be available for people who have access to our downloadable area or the YouTube channel, but also you agreed with us that previously we talked that you can export in PDF, especially the 4C approach, so we can use it as a reference, or we can access the Miro board as you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, that'd be fine.
All right. And I'll share all that content in a email for the upcoming days. I'll thank you for the attendance here, and I'll share all the materials and according with the recording as well with you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that.
One more step. There was a lot of sharing and resharing in this session on my end. I apologize for that. Hope it's not taking much time. Presentation should be uploading right now. The upcoming sessions, if you're interested to learn about denial management as a gateway to enhance organizational performance, we are going to have it on the 13th of December, and it's going to be presented by Ahmad El-Zain. We're going to have a face-to-face meeting in Darmstadt. And for everyone who is interested from Germany, we have the PM Summit in Munich on the 25th and 26th as a reminder that you can join and be part of the summit. Please follow our page of PMI Germany chapter. You can see all the events there for the upcoming months. We're six volunteers from five countries, and we are always open to invite or engage with more members, volunteers to be part of our team, to enhance our team and to make more possibilities and sessions for everyone who is interested to hear about all these topics that you just mentioned on the poll. So if you're interested to volunteer with us, please write us or approach us on LinkedIn or write us a direct message email. And finally, here is the PDU. Take a screenshot, or even better, I put it on the chat. Someone asked it, Bettina, yes, there it is. I really hope that you enjoyed. I really did. I wish we could have a monthly sessions with Jeffrey so we can learn the Miro tool. And I appreciate your time. I value your knowledge that you share with us. I'm very happy that you chose to share your knowledge with us here. And thank you everyone for your time to choose to spend your evening with us on this empowering session.
Well, thank you.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.